In the expansive and timeless narrative of the Bible, few stories resonate as profoundly with themes of justice, equality, and faith as the tale of the daughters of Zelophehad. Tucked away in the annals of the Book of Numbers, their story unfolds against the backdrop of Israel's journey to the Promised Land, a journey fraught with challenges, transitions, and the gradual unfolding of God's divine order for his people. The daughters of Zelophehad, Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, stand as remarkable figures of courage and faith. In an era deeply entrenched in patriarchal traditions, these 5 women dared to challenge societal norms and assert their rightful claim to inheritance. Their story begins in Numbers 27:1-11, but its echoes reverberate through later chapters of the Bible, leaving a legacy that shaped Israelite law and continues to inspire readers today. The Israelites were nearing the end of their 40-year journey through the wilderness. They stood poised to enter the land that God had promised to their ancestors, a land described as flowing with milk and honey. Moses, their leader, had been instructed by God to conduct a census, counting all the men who were eligible to inherit portions of this promised land. In this context, inheritance was a matter of great significance. It represented not just land, but identity, legacy, and a tangible connection to God's covenant with his people. Zelophehad, a member of the tribe of Manasseh, had died during the wilderness wanderings. Like many others of his generation, he had not survived to see the promised land. However, unlike many other Israelite men, Zelophehad left no sons to inherit his portion of land. In the prevailing custom, this would have meant that his inheritance would bypass his family altogether and possibly pass to other male relatives, leaving his daughters with nothing. The 5 daughters of Zelophehad refused to accept this outcome. They recognized the unfairness of the situation and understood that their father's name, legacy, and connection to God's covenant would be erased if they did not act. Fueled by a sense of justice and deep faith, these women approached Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the congregation at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Their petition was simple yet profound. Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among Korah's followers who banded together against the Lord, but he died for his own sin and left no sons. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives, Numbers 27:3-4. This was no ordinary appeal. The daughters stood before the leaders of an entire nation, a daring act in a culture where women's voices were often overlooked. Their request was not just for land. It was a plea for justice, a challenge to the societal norms of their time, and a declaration of their faith in God's fairness. Moses, recognizing the gravity of their request, did not make a decision immediately. Instead, he brought their case before God. And in what can only be described as a monumental moment in biblical history, God responded in favor of the daughters of Zelophehad. What Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right. You must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives, and give their father's inheritance to them, Numbers 27:7. With this declaration, God not only upheld the women's claim, but also established a new legal precedent in Israelite inheritance law. He instructed Moses that if a man died without sons, his inheritance should pass to his daughters. If there were no daughters, the inheritance would go to his brothers, then to his uncles, and finally to the nearest male relative. This divine ruling affirmed the worth and dignity of women in God's eyes and underscored his commitment to justice. It also demonstrated that God's laws were not static, but could adapt to address new situations and ensure fairness for all his people. The story of the daughters of Zelophehad did not end with this initial victory. In Numbers 36, another issue arose regarding their inheritance. Leaders from the tribe of Manasseh raised concerns that if the daughters married men from other tribes, their land would transfer to those tribes, thus diminishing Manasseh's inheritance. Once again, Moses sought God's guidance. This time, the ruling required the daughters to marry within their tribe to preserve the integrity of tribal inheritances. Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah complied, marrying their cousins within the tribe of Manasseh. While this ruling might seem restrictive to modern readers, it reflects the balance God sought to maintain between justice for individuals and the broader covenantal promises to the tribes of Israel. The daughters of Zelophehad, for their part, demonstrated wisdom and obedience in navigating this additional challenge. The story of the daughters of Zelophehad offers timeless lessons that resonate with readers across cultures and generations. 1. Courage to speak up. The daughters dared to challenge the status quo and bring their concerns directly to the highest authority. Their boldness serves as a reminder that speaking out against injustice requires courage but can lead to meaningful change. 2. Faith in God's justice. Their appeal was rooted in faith that God is a just and fair judge. They trusted that their petition would not fall on deaf ears, but would be met with divine wisdom. 3. The importance of advocacy. By advocating for their father's legacy and their rightful place in the inheritance, these women paved the way for others who might face similar situations. Their actions had a ripple effect, leading to legal reforms that benefited future generations. 4. God's regard for women. This story highlights God's care for and affirmation of women. It underscores that, in God's eyes, women are valued and capable of being active participants in His covenant. 5. Adopting laws to ensure justice. The narrative illustrates how laws can and should evolve to address changing circumstances and ensure fairness. God's willingness to amend the inheritance laws demonstrates His commitment to justice and equity. The daughters of Zelophehad are mentioned again in Joshua 17, where their inheritance in the Promised Land is confirmed. Their story is not just a footnote in biblical history, but a testament to the power of faith, courage, and persistence. For women throughout history and in the modern era, their story is a source of inspiration. It reminds us that, even in the face of systemic barriers, individuals can make a difference by standing up for what is right. For all readers, their tale is a vivid demonstration of God's unchanging character, His justice, His care for all His children, and His desire for His people to live in harmony and fairness. As the sun set on the wilderness wanderings and the tribes of Israel began to claim their inheritance in the Promised Land, the daughters of Zelophehad could stand tall, knowing they had secured not only land, but also a lasting legacy. Their names, Mala, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah, remain etched in the sacred text as symbols of faith, determination, and divine justice.